$70,000. That's what someone paid brand new for the luxury SUV you're about to buy for $15,000. $70,000, down to $15,000. And before you congratulate yourself on the deal of the century, here's what nobody at that dealership is telling you. I worked in this industry. I stood in the service bays. I watched these exact SUVs roll in on the back of a flatbed at 60,000 miles, barely broken in. Stay with me, because 5 of them are landmines, and I'm about to walk you through every single one. First up, the BMW X5 E70 generation, 2007 through 2013. You can find a clean one for $8,000 to $14,000 right now, and it looks like a steal. It isn't. The 2007 X5 alone has 383 documented technical service bulletins on file with NHTSA. 383. The N52 engine, the inline-6 in the 3.0 SI and xDrive 30i variants, has a documented service action under TSB number 101-62395 for Vanos camshaft faults. Bolts loosen, break, and BMW eventually escalated this to a full safety recall under Campaign 23V-707, covering over 155,000 vehicles. But the cooling system is where it really gets ugly. Plastic thermostat housings, plastic coolant pipes, they get brittle with age and heat cycling. NHTSA complaint records on the 2013 X5 include owners describing smoke from the engine bay, overheating, and one repair estimate of nearly $21,000 for an engine replacement on an SUV they paid less than that for. The transfer case is another one. Documented drivetrain errors, limp mode, and replacement estimates around $5,300. One owner described their X5 automatically shifting into park at a traffic light. Think about that for a second. The 2007 X5 has 13 recalls and over 200 NHTSA complaints. The information is all there. Most buyers just don't look. Next, the Land Rover LR4, 2010 through 2016. This is the air suspension cautionary tale I use when explaining why a cheap entry price doesn't mean cheap ownership. The air struts run $430 to $970 per corner in OEM parts alone, before labor. Labor adds another $256 to $376 per strut. 4 corners. And when a sagging corner goes ignored, the compressor runs constantly trying to compensate until it burns itself out too. The symptoms are sneaky. The SUV sits a little low overnight, takes a second longer to rise, throws a suspension fault warning. Buyers miss it on test drives because the SUV's been running and the system is pressurized. Show up early. Look at how it's sitting before it's been started. That tells you more than any test drive. And beyond the suspension, in 2021, Land Rover issued recall 21V635000, covering over 111,000 vehicles. LR4s built 2010 through 2016, and Range Rover Sports built 2010 through 2013, for a fuel outlet flange that could crack and cause a fuel leak. Consumer Reports has consistently ranked Land Rover at or near the bottom of their reliability surveys. The LR4 is a significant reason why, and if you're shopping one right now, please get a specialist inspection before you sign anything. Now, the Audi Q7, first generation, 2007 through 2015. Beautiful SUV, genuinely impressive interior, and a timing chain system that will humble you fast. From the 2011 model year, the Q7 got the 3.0 TFSI supercharged V6, and that engine has a well-documented issue with timing chain tensioners. The plastic guides wear, tension drops, and the early warning sign is a faint rattle on cold start that disappears after a minute. Most people ignore it. When a timing chain jumps on an interference engine, you're not fixing the chain anymore. You're talking bent valves, potential engine damage, and a repair bill that can exceed the value of the SUV. On top of that, the MMI infotainment hard drive fails, the screen develops dead spots, and replacement requires dealer-level programming equipment. A full brake job runs $1,200 to $2,000. That's not a repair, that's just maintenance. Everything on this SUV carries the Audi badge premium, and it adds up fast. If you're seriously considering a Q7, budget at least $2,000 to $3,000 per year for maintenance and unexpected repairs, and that's if you're lucky. The Audi World community has documented the timing chain failure pattern extensively, and it's one of the first things any experienced Audi tech will check the moment one of these rolls into the bay. This is a good moment to pause, because if you're realizing the used luxury market is a minefield, you're right. I put together a guide called the Mr. Car Insider Field Manual, Bulletproof Your Ride, 10 essential maintenance hacks that can save you over $1,000 a year, extend your engine's life, and help you avoid the repair shop conversations that ruin your month. It's free. Grab it through the link in the description. It's the kind of information I wish someone had handed me when I was starting out, and it applies to every single SUV on this list. Moving on, the Porsche Cayenne, first generation, 2003 through 2010. The 2004 model alone logged 101 NHTSA complaints. The defining failure on this generation is the plastic coolant pipe problem. On the 955 generation, that's the 2003 through 2007 cars, Porsche ran plastic coolant pipes plus a steam pipe through the valley of the V8, and over time, the heat cycles caused them to fail. The tech has to pull the intake manifold to even reach the failed pipe. Dealerships charge in the neighborhood of $1,500 to $2,500 for the job. And here's the part that should make you angry. The parts cost under $200. You're paying for the labor of pulling the intake to reach a piece of plastic Porsche could have made out of aluminum for the price of a coffee. They didn't. They chose their margin over your reliability. The early 4.5-liter V8 also has a documented bore scoring problem, cylinder wall scoring that leads to knocking, high oil consumption, and eventually engine failure. And the transfer case. Porsche has acknowledged transfer case problems across the Cayenne line, extending warranty coverage on the second-generation 958. If you've got a first-gen, you're on your own. Owner-reported replacement bills run up to $5,500. RepairPal puts average annual maintenance at $1,231, and that's before any of the major failures. According to one ownership cost study, the total repair bill across the first 5 years comes in north of $8,000, not including routine maintenance. Do that math on an SUV you paid $15,000 for. The Cayenne demands to be maintained like a Porsche even when you bought it for the price of a used sedan. Most people buying these on the used market are simply not prepared for that reality, and the service bay is where that reality hits them. Last one, and this one genuinely hurts to put on the list. The Cadillac Escalade, 2007 through 2014. American icon. Massive, comfortable, imposing. But the 6.2-liter V8's active fuel management system is one of the most documented failure points in GM's modern history. The AFM lifters fail. You get an engine tick, misfires, and a lifter replacement job that runs $3,500 to $5,000 at a GM dealer. And that's if they only find lifter and cam damage. If the cam wiped a journal or scored the bore, the number climbs from there. GM issued multiple TSBs on this, and it became the subject of class action litigation. The fix usually involves disabling AFM entirely and replacing the lifters with non-AFM units. If you're buying one, find out if that work's already been done, because if it hasn't, it's coming. The air ride suspension on equipped models follows the same expensive failure pattern we've already talked about: compressor failures, strut failures, and a system that once it starts going, tends to take other components with it. And the 6L80 transmission, GM called the fluid lifetime, which led to a lot of these SUVs going 100,000 miles without a change. There is no such thing as lifetime transmission fluid. That fluid breaks down, gets contaminated, and a transmission running on degraded fluid for that long is living on borrowed time. A rebuild or replacement on the 6L80 runs $3,000 to $5,000. That's not a rumor, that's what the job costs. Here's what all 5 of these SUVs have in common. They were engineered to be exceptional vehicles at their original price point. The problem is, the used market strips away the warranty, strips away the dealer support, strips away the assumption of proper maintenance, and leaves you with a complex, expensive machine that is now entirely your financial responsibility. The depreciation that made the price look attractive is the same depreciation that's telling you something about the cost of ownership going forward. The people who do well with these SUVs go in with their eyes open. They get a pre-purchase inspection from a brand specialist, not a general mechanic, a specialist who knows that specific make inside and out. They budget for maintenance the way the original owner was supposed to. They know which specific years and configurations to avoid, because within each of these nameplates, there are better and worse choices, and the difference between them can be thousands of dollars a year. And they never, ever skip the vehicle history report. Knowledge is the only thing standing between you and a very expensive mistake. If you thought these 5 were bad, wait until you see what happens with British luxury. Watch Used Range Rover Cost Me Everything I Learned, linked right here. It makes this list look like a minor inconvenience,